Okay, so you only register the very first time. You never have to do that again. Whenever you want to work on your homework, you go back to this page, www.coursecompass.com. It'll redirect you to www.pearsonmylabandmastering.com, and you sign in here. Sign in. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you are allowed to log in. For you guys, you'll likely only going to have one box that looks like this. It'll say Math 80, section 634. Unless you've had other math classes like Math 40, Math 23, whatever. Each of the different shells will be on here representing different courses. So for us, it'll look like this guy. Math 80, section 634. So you click on there, and then that'll take you to the actual content of this class. That previous page kind of collects all the different classes that you've used MyMathLab for, so they kind of pile on there, and you can reference them in the future. Okay, so this is what our page looks like for our actual work. This initial page here is for like announcements. It lets you know what assignments are coming due, and there are announcements from the publisher. The only important announcements to kind of keep an eye out for are the ones where they let you know that the system is going to be down. Sometimes they do like maintenance on the system and they shut it down while they do that. They usually are very good about doing it in the middle of the night, like say on a Friday night or a Saturday night when they know very few people are doing it. So from time to time, say 3 in the morning, from 3 to 4 in the morning on Saturday night, the system might be down. Otherwise, if there's some other issue, you know, maybe the system might be down for some other reason and you get some information there. Okay, so there are only 2 things that affect your grade in here, the homework and the quizzes. So you can find them in the following way. There's a tab here on the left that says homework. You click on there and it'll take you to the list of homework assignments. There they are. So here's all the homework assignments. There's roughly 1 assignment per section. And each assignment roughly takes somewhere between 2 to 4 hours to complete. So there's a lot of homework, right? I'm coming clean on that early on. Don't be surprised by it. So that's all the homework, about 2 to 4 hours per assignment for the whole semester. It's all right there. Okay, so we're going all the way through chapter 9. All right. The other thing that affects your grade are quizzes. So to get to the quizzes, you can click this little tab here that says quizzes, and it gives you again a little list of the quiz assignments. There are 2 different kinds of quizzes on here, so don't get them confused. There are the ones that I wrote that affect your grade, and there are the ones that the book author wrote and do not affect your grade. You don't have to do those. So how can you tell the difference? The ones I wrote all say, or all start with Math 80, Math 80 quiz, Math 80 quiz. They all say that. The ones that the author wrote look like this. They say Chapter 1 pretest, Chapter 1 review, Chapter 3 review quiz. Those ones, all of these, the author wrote them. They don't count in this class in a good way or a bad way. They don't count at all. So you don't have to do them. Just the ones that say Math 80. Okay? So you can access the list here on the left tabs, the homework and the quizzes. And also, once you choose either one of them, you can also do this drop-down menu here and choose it. So here's quizzes or here's homework, and it gives you that. Personally, I prefer the all, so you can click all assignments. Now, for some reason, it takes you to assignments 21 through 40. I don't know why that's a weird thing. But you can click arrow here to get back to the beginning. So now I've selected all assignments and I hit the arrow to get back to the beginning. So here's starting from assignment 1. And so what this does is it puts all your homework and quizzes all in one spot. So here are all the chapter 1 assignments, homework assignments, and then there's the chapter 1 quiz. And then we have all the chapter 2 assignments and then the chapter 2 quiz. And then there's another quiz that has 1 and 2 mixed to be the prep for exam number 1. Is everyone with me so far? Okay, so you just have to keep track of these due dates. So there was a little hiccup that I ran into, which is why I had to put the due date for all the assignments to be September 5th. So I'll change that, but you can just keep track of those there, and that'll let you know what's due. But like I said, whenever we choose to have our first exam, which is tentatively September 21st for now, unless we move it around a little bit. We could go a day, you know, a class day up or a class day back. Whenever we choose that date, the homework will be due the night before that, okay, for the first attempt. All right, once you, so let's go into one of these guys here. So let's select like the first one here. This is a nice overview of all the questions in this particular assignment. So let's click on any one of these. And so here we go. So this says, let P be the price of a new Porsche, let N be the number of people willing to buy that vehicle at price P. Sketch the graph that shows the relationship between N and P. Okay, so this particular question is a multiple guess. So you got to look at the graphs and see which one matches that situation. So let's say we think the answer is A. Check it. Nope, that wasn't right. Okay, I think it was C. No, not at all. No, okay, so it's going to mark it wrong. It's going to give us a big, ugly red mark. So it gives us a nice, ugly red mark here. It'll show us what the wrong answer was. Oh, the right answer. I guess they went with this one. So they think that there is a little bit of gap where the price can change a little bit and the same number of people will buy it. And then it kind of goes down, and it starts to go down. Interesting. All right. So now that we got it wrong, we can click similar exercise like this, and now it'll give us a little story that's similar to the previous one. Let P be the price of a new Ford, let N be the number of people willing to buy the vehicle at price P. Okay, so in fact in this particular case it was the exact same question really. And so now we know better, we know that's the right answer. Click that guy, fantastic, and we get to move on. Okay, if you still didn't really understand why that one was the right answer, it's up to you to make sure that you understand. You know, why is that picture related to this situation? You know, we have a lot of services. You know, you have tutors here, you have Khan Academy, you have Math TV. There are tutoring services here through Pearson. You have me. We have tutoring here on the building, and we also have tutoring in the library. So there's a lot of resources for you to make sure you understand why it worked out this way. Don't just move on because you got the right answer and you're like, who cares? I got the right answer. I got credit. Moving on. If something like this appears on the test, you know, you won't have a similar exercise or a second attempt at it in the test. So make sure you understand it. All right. So some of them are multiple choice like this one. I'm going to get out of here now. So if you notice, this was the overview. So now I see that I got a little check mark there, so I know I got that one right. If I got something else wrong, I'll get a nice red mark on something else to know that I didn't get that credit on that one. But I'm going to go back to my, my homework. So because you get to do a similar exercise, you can continue to do that indefinitely. You can always hit similar exercise and reattempt the question. And you know, do it until you eventually get credit for it. And there is no penalty for having it wrong the first time and then eventually getting the right answer. So in theory, all of us can get 100% if you put enough time and effort and energy into it, right? I know. All right, so let's move on to say something like here.
Is the quiz going to be the same format, or sure?
Just a little bit different, so I'll get into that in a second. Now, some of these assignments have a little stopgap thing, like this one. So there are 10 questions on this assignment, but you cannot open any of them yet. It forces you to watch this thing. So there's a 11-minute video that you have to watch in order to be able to do the assignment. And what this has is it has some examples for you to work through or watch them work through. Hang on, let me try it again. There it is.
Walter and Barbara called two plumbing companies for estimates of what needs to be done for a house. Robert's Plumbing and Heating charges $40 for a house call and then $35 per hour for labor. Instant Plumbing Repairs charges $70 for a house call and then $25
Okay,
for
that volume is fine. This
A,
volume is fine.
equations for each company, where Y is the total cost of plumbing repairs and X is the number of hours of labor. Then write a system of equations.
That volume is fine. There's like 5 different volumes I gotta look at.
Plumbing and heating charges $40 for a house call and then $35 per hour. Instant Plumbing Repairs charges $70 for a house call and $25 per hour. The total cost is the cost of the house call plus the charge for labor, which is the total cost per hour times the number of hours.
Like I said, a lot of word problems in this book. Heavy on the word problems. So this is the kind of thing you can expect.
The total cost Y is the cost of a house call, $40, plus $35 per hour of labor times the number of hours of labor, X. Now write the cost equation for instant plumbing repairs. The total cost Y is the cost of a house call, $70, plus $25 per hour of labor.
Okay, so you get the idea. It's a little video, it's 11 minutes long, it runs through a few examples. Sometimes it's really helpful and useful, sometimes not so much. You don't have to watch the entire thing, it does force you to at least open it. So you gotta open it and then close it and then it'll free up the questions. But hopefully, at least it's helpful. That's why earphones are a good idea. If you're gonna be working here on campus using some of our computers, then you need the earphones to be able to listen to what's happening. So just toss a pair in your bag and at some point they'll be useful. Okay, so now that you watched it at least once, it'll unlock the assignments and now you can jump into here and look at the assignments. So this one says to graph these things. So how do you graph this equation? 8x minus 4y equals to 36. So you click on the graphing tool. I wish it was a little larger, but the first thing we have to do is tell the computer what it is we want to graph. Do we want to graph a line, a V, a circle, some dashes, whatever that thing is? We want a line. Okay, so click line, and now the system is waiting for a line. It needs 2 points. 0, comma, -9 is down here. It's also up here in the corner, so if you get confused, it helps you out what ordered pair you're pointing at. And then the other one is 1, comma, -7, so we got to go 1 this way and then down to -7, which is there. There they are. So that should be my line. Save, and there is that line. Okay, now I still have to graph the other one. The other one is x plus 3y equals to 8. So we still have to put it into y-intercept form. So graph this guy, we tell it we want to graph a line, and now we go to 5, comma 1, 5, comma 1, and 2, comma 2. And there's our line. Save it, and there they are. Okay, so we graphed both lines, and now we're ready to check it. Excellent. Okay. We're happy with our answer. Now, when we get into this chapter, we'll talk more about systems of solutions, but what they want is the intersection, the ordered pair that's a solution of both of them where they cross. And so from the graph here, I can tell that they both cross at 5, comma 1. So that's what we type into here. The solution is parentheses, 5, comma 1, close parentheses, check answer. Fantastic, and we are happy. Okay, let's go back to it so we get full credit on it. Now again, if you didn't get it right, then you'd have that similar question down there, and then you just have to do it again until you get the right answer. Yeah, question?
Do you have to use the graph on the computer or can you use your graphing calculator?
Well, for this, you have to use the graph there. But in class, we have to use our graphing calculator. All right, so now this thing online, people think it replaces the traditional homework method, and it doesn't, okay? This online thing has questions, and it has answers. And so they give you the question, and you give it the answer, and it lets you know. But in the middle, you have all this work. Look at all the work we did. We found the y-intercept form of the equation. We found some ordered pairs. We did this over here. This is good work here. You need to save this. There's no such thing as scratch paper. This is good work that you need to keep organized somewhere accessible for you in a nice, neat way. In some paper somewhere, you should keep track of all this. Say this is homework 3.1, number 2. I usually point, well, you can put number 2 like that. Now, number 2 means that it's the second one on this assignment, right? I picked 10 questions. This is the second one on this assignment, the second of 10. Now, the 3.1.7, the 0.7 means that it's the 7th question in your textbook. These are the same questions that are in your book. It's the 7th one in chapter 3, section 1 exercise. So if we go to our book and look there, we'll see a question almost identical to this one, except some of the numbers might be different. So you might want to keep track of that as well. 3.1.7, so that you know which one it is, and it's, assignment, exercise number 2, or question number 2. And keep track of this stuff. When it comes time to study for your test, it's not going to do you any good to just have this online thing. Okay, it's time to study for my test. Here's my question. 8x minus 4y equals to 36, and x plus 3y equals to 8. The answer is 5, 1. I don't know. If I forgot how to get that, it doesn't really help me. I don't know anything. This is what's going to help you. Oh, yeah, okay, you got to graph it. You got to y-intercept, get some table values, right? Make sure you save all this stuff, okay? This system is just a way of checking your work. When I do homework, right, I gotta do math homework too. I gotta sit down and do homework. What's your favorite thing to do when you finish a math question? Come on, I can't be the only one. Flip to the back of the book and see if you got the right answer, right? Flip back there and be like, got it. Or, God damn it, what's wrong? Why did I get the wrong answer? Right? So that's all this thing does. It just gives you instant information about whether you got it right or whether you got it wrong. But it does not replace all this work you have to do. And on the test, you have to do all this work. So make sure you save it. Be neat and organized about it. The more organized you are, the easier time you'll have in this and in every other math class. Okay? Questions so far? No? No? Good? Good, good, good? Okay. So I covered that. Now, if you want to, you can always hit similar exercise even though you got it right. Like if you want to practice, later on you want to come back and work on it some more, get another one that's kind of like this one, you could do that. And it keeps the highest score, so you won't be penalized for practicing it some more. So you can always get full credit as long as you're willing to come back and put more time into the questions. You need to complete each assignment with a 70% or higher in order to be able to move on to the next one. So let's get back to this page. Do you see these little flags here? Those little flags are like stop symbols, stop signs. It means that you cannot open that assignment. So if I try to open 1.2 right now, it'll stop me and say, prerequisite warning, you have not done the previous assignment with a 70% or higher. Okay, so you have to do each assignment inside each chapter with a 70% or higher, sequentially. But the beginning of every chapter is open. So it's a brand new, clean slate, brand new opportunity at the beginning of each chapter. So if you're working, today, tonight, when you go home and start working on this, if you get stuck on 1.1, 1.2, that's okay. Maybe try looking at 2.1 or 3.1. I don't know. You can start looking at other ones and trying to judge where you can move, where you can get some more work done. So you have to get a 70% or higher. You can always, continue to work on it by doing similar exercise until you get credit. There is no penalties for getting it wrong as long as you eventually get it right, as long as you do it before the due date. Now, if you work on something after the due date, there will be a 25% penalty on the ones that you had not done yet, or the ones that you do work on after the due date, not the entire assignment. All right, so that's the way all the homework works. Are there any questions on just the homework? I'll get to the quizzes in a second. Good. Okay, the quizzes are very similar in their presentation. Let's open up a quiz now. Right now, you won't be able to open one. So to open up a quiz, you have to complete all the homework within that chapter to be able to open it. So you won't be able to do chapter 1 quiz until you finish your homework from chapter 1. So I have to go in this direction to open it. Okay, so here's your quiz. The quizzes randomly select about 5 to 10 questions from all of the homework in those chapters to kind of give you a chance to prepare for the test. Now you wonder, was this a good preparation for the test? Well, it depends. It is a random selection of the homework questions. So in a random selection, you might randomly pick 5 of the hardest questions in the entire homework, or you might randomly pick 5 of the easiest questions in the whole thing. So you might get lucky, you might not. The way this works is that you input whatever answers you think are right here. Like I think the answer is 6. The answer is 8.98. And then you move on to the next question. Okay, you haven't completed all the parts, blah, 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 I don't care. I don't know. Blah. I think that's the answer. Moving on. The answer is y equals yes. I don't know. So I'm done with it. So when I'm done, I have to hit submit quiz. And then, yes, submit the quiz, even though I haven't even looked at the other ones. And then, of course, I got them all wrong. So the difference between the homework and the quiz is that the homework grades each question right when you do it, and it gives you the chance to redo that question right when you do it. Whereas the quiz does not. The quiz limits you. Now, there are some questions where you will be allowed like one opportunity to check that question. But most of the time it doesn't give you any opportunities at all. You just submit it, it'll grade it, it'll give you a score, and if you're happy with that score, great. If not, then you close it. Oh, you can also review it, so you can review it and see what your scores, what your responses were and what the correct responses should have been. It also lets you print it if you wanted to. So then you review it and do all that. And now, in order to do better on it, then you reopen it and try a new quiz. It'll randomly select another brand new group of questions. See, in the homework, when you hit similar exercise, the similar one is similar. It's very, very close to the one that you were just working on. They just kind of move around some of the numbers. Whereas here, it is truly another random selection of questions from the homework. So 5 brand new different questions that come from that same homework assignment. Your online homework and quizzes. The written exams is where, 65% of your grade is from written exams. This is only worth 30% of your grade. Good. Any other questions?
Graphing's minor for the exams.
Your graphing calculator. So all of you guys have to have a TI 8384, and I'll ask you guys to do stuff on there. We'll learn all the different functions that I expect you guys to know in here. I doubt anybody knows those things yet unless you've had my class. So we'll go through them, show you how to do things with it, and then you will definitely need it for your test. Good. Other questions so far? Okay, so to be able to open the quiz, however, you need to complete the homework from that section. Once you've completed the homework, it'll allow you the opportunity to open the quiz. And once you can open the quiz, then you can take the quiz as many times as you need to, and it'll keep the best score. So like I said, it's a random selection of 5 questions. Sometimes they're really easy, sometimes they're really hard. So I would say, if I was taking this class as a student, I think I would initially go after my points. So the first concern is I got to get my full credit here. So I would probably open it and maybe not even do the entire quiz. I would probably just kind of flip through it. Yeah, these are really hard. I don't know how to do these. And I'd probably close it, get a 0 for it. Who cares? Open another selection. Yeah, I don't know how to do these either. Close it, open another one. Yeah, I like these. I know how to do these. Boom. Get my 100%. Nailed it. And then you can continue to open them if you want. It'll continue to randomly give you random questions from those sections, and it'll always keep your best score. So once you've already bagged your 100%, then you can continue to just do extra ones just to practice, just to have random questions assigned to you. You don't even have to do them. You just, it's like flashcards or something. Like, yeah, I know how to do that kind of question. Yeah, I know how to do that. Oh, I don't know how to do that one. Let's see if I can, it's just like flashcards. So I think it's one good way of studying for the test, to have random questions from the homework, you know, kind of presented in front of you. Okay. So having said that, it is a really big benefit for people to finish their homework as early as possible so that they can have access to the quizzes, so that they can have enough time to be able to bag that 100% and then have some extra time to practice. Don't let yourself be one of those people that finishes their homework like at 11:02 p.m. the night before, so now you have exactly 58 minutes to do the quiz, and you go to it and you're like, damn, this is the hardest quiz I've ever seen in my life. And they don't even consider to close it and open a new quiz. They just do the first quiz that pops up, and then they spend 50 minutes, they don't get a good score, and then they don't get 70%, and then they don't have a second chance at the test. Okay? Finish your homework as soon as you can, jump ahead, try and get it done several days before, so you give yourself plenty of time to practice as many of these quizzes as you need to until you get a good score. And hopefully that helps you prepare for the test, and hopefully that also, you know, gives you a nice, easy way of getting, well, not easy, but a nice way of getting a good score for 30% of your grade, right? Good. That's like 2 tests. I mean, it's a lot of work for sure. I'm not putting that, minimizing that. It is a lot of work, but if you put enough time into it, everyone should be able to get 100% on this, right? I mean, if you just like throw brute force at it, and just practice it a lot and go to tutors and come to me, you should be able to get a good score on your homework and your quizzes. But it is a lot of time, very time consuming. But that's worth 2 exam scores to do that. Okay, any other questions? We're good? We're good? We're good? Okay, so we covered homework, we covered quizzes. There's no more questions on that. Keep track of the due dates. That appear on the left-hand side here. So right now I had to put next week because there was a little bit of a hiccup. I'll change those, but keep track of these due dates here. They'll let you know when stuff is due. And then the other thing I wanted to show you today is where the book is. So homework's there, quizzes are there, and then if you go down here to Multimedia Library, this is kind of like a little search engine for everything that's on here. And one of the things you can search for is the multimedia textbook. So click that guy, click Find Now, and then all the different sections of our book will appear there. So you can click on any one of them. It doesn't really matter. So say click on there, and a little window will pop up with your electronic copy of the book. So here it is. This is page, let me zoom in a little bit. This is page 115 of your book. It looks exactly like this. It's not like a subset of it. It's not like they didn't water it down at all. It's the entire book, page by page is on here. So you can read it from here. You can also print it. There's a little print button here. So if you want to just print like 1 chapter at a time, but it only lets you print like a maximum of 10 pages at a time. So they don't want to make it too easy for you to print their book. They do want you to buy it and make them more money. And also, you know, printing can get expensive, you know, a nickel at a time or a dime at a time. You got to keep track of it and hole punch it. And I don't know, some people like it, some don't. It's up to you. And then they do have some features on here for this, as far as being able to put a thumbtack on something or highlight things with this little highlighter. So there are some benefits that they put on here, some features that they put on here. But again, personally, I don't like ebooks. I find myself getting lost and confused about where I am, and it makes it difficult for me to find previous information. Where was that one example? I don't know where it is, and it annoys me. So I would recommend the book, but I am getting old, so that might be a sign of my age. Nobody? All right. Anyway, any other questions?
For the exams, for the tests,
Yes.
are those questions from the book as well?
Yes, they are the same style of questions, very similar. They feel a little different in that, you know, you don't have the computer. So one thing I will warn you on is that I feel a lot of people depend a little too much on the ability to put multiple guesses on there. And, you know, it's fine if you get it wrong and you learn how to do it right. So I want to give you guys that freedom. But it's very easy to use it too much and rely on it too much and just guess your way to a good answer and get credit and move on. And you know, it's fine if you do that every once in a while, but if you do that too much, then you're not really learning anything. You're just finding ways of getting credit on the homework without really learning anything. And then when the test comes, it just slaps you in the face and you have no idea what you're doing. So make sure that you understand the reason behind things. And there are a few other help things on here that I want to look at real quickly that will also help you with your homework. So again, you got to take these with a grain of salt. They're very useful, they're helpful, but at the same time, please don't abuse them too much. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's say you're working on your homework. Let's get back to, say, this chapter here. So you're in chapter 2.1, question 2. And you've tried several things with this guy. You have no idea what it wants. What's it want me to do? You've already tried some stuff. You don't get it. You can click here, help me with this question. And there's a few help aids that are built in to help you solve it. So one of them is help me solve this question. So you click on that guy. A little window will pop up. And the exact same question will appear. See the exact same numbers? 1998, 16, 2000, 29. So it's the exact same question, and it'll just kind of grab you by the hand and guide you through the answer. So you got to read through that, right? It involves reading, I'm afraid. Note that t is an independent variable. This means the data can be written as an ordered pair, right? So you kind of walk through it. And you know, from time to time it'll ask you some questions. Choose the correct scattergram. We'll talk about what that is. So I don't know, maybe it's at that one. Check answer. Excellent. All right. Continue. So it'll kind of walk you through the whole process, and hopefully at the end of everything you know what the answer is, which obviously I do not. So anyway, so once you do all that, then it marks it wrong because you didn't answer it, the computer answered it, but it automatically gives you the opportunity to get a similar question, and then you can get full credit for it after you answer a different one. Okay, so that's one of the help aids. The next help aid we want to look at is view an example. View an example is very similar to help me solve this, except view an example will have a little window pop up, and it automatically starts with questions that are different than the one that you're working with. So see, this one has 1998, 17. This has 1996, 19. So the answers are going to be a little bit different. It still walks you through the process, holds you by the hand, makes you read through it, shows you examples, shows you what the real answer should have been, walks you through the whole thing. Okay, so hopefully now you kind of get what you did wrong or how you were supposed to get full credit for it. And then when you close it, then you can get back to the one you were working on because the one that popped up was actually different numbers. Okay, so they're very similar, just a slight difference between the two. Any questions on either of those two things? Okay, so those two are available on almost all questions on the homework. And they're very useful if used the right way. But please don't abuse them and fall into a pattern of just simply mimicking whatever they're doing without really understanding why, and then tricking yourself into thinking you know the answer when you don't really know the answer. Right? So a lot of people are like, I don't know why, but I take the first number there and divide it by that one, and that's my answer. All right, well, you'll get credit, but that doesn't mean you know what you're doing, and then when the test comes around, you're likely not going to do well. So use them, use the tools, but use them well, and hopefully that'll help. The next good thing on here, let me see if I can find one. Not on here. Well, these two are constant to all of them. The next one is a textbook. You can just click on there and it'll automatically take you to the section of the textbook where this question comes from. And then some of them have something called an animation. It's like a little video that pops up that kind of helps you with that question. But I don't know which one has an animation, which one doesn't. So it's kind of a stab in the dark here, and I might not run into one. All right, I didn't run into one, so I give up. I'll find one at some point. Let's go over here. If you go back to your search engine, you should be able to find them there. So go back to Multimedia Library and see these little animation things. Click Animation, and it'll show you all the ones that have little animations for the various chapters. So see, in chapter 1 there was only a few of them, so it was kind of hard for me to run into one of them. Chapter 2 there's only 2 and 3, so there's not that many, but every once in a while there's an animation. Let's look and see what an animation looks like. It's just like they vary a little bit. This one is going to help you solve a similar question, except it's got a... Whoa.
Linear equations by substitution.
Sorry. Okay, so this is an example of an animation.
Especially when the coordinates of the intersection point of two lines are not integers. Without using a graphing calculator, exactly identifying those non-integer coordinates is almost impossible. So, to solve many systems of linear equations,
Okay, so then you get a stop button, you get a forward button, you get a back button, you get a restart button. So that's one of the animation types. Let's see if we can run into a different one. Practice exercises. Okay, so some sort of a game thing, but
Change the expression
like math
to
fun?
standard form. Use the arrow buttons to move the decimal point and change the exponent. Click check to submit
fun.
your response.
Click check to submit your response.
All right, so with the scientific notation, you have 10 to the negative 6. Should we move the arrows to the right or to the left? Should we move the decimal to the right or to the left? To the left, and you know that why? Negative exponent. Okay, you can kind of memorize that. Also, negative means you can also think of the fact that it's supposed to be a small number, so we want a 0.000 something. So there's different things. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But okay, we want to go that way. 6 spaces, right? And then what? Check. Whoa, that's rude. There you go. Check. Continue. Practice. Okay, anyway, so there you go. This is another little animation thing, just like a little thing to help you understand that section. So we got animations, you got to help me solve these questions or similar exercises, the textbook. So those are all the resources that are on here. So, all right, this is a good place to stop.